An array of startups which are in energy efficiency for robotics. Like this physical AI GYMS to grow up to that 100 number by the end of this year. Great researchers like Chris Paxton from Agility. There's a company called Robo Strategy. They're great investors in this. We honed in on the scientific automation vertical.
Dhruv, welcome to the Harbor Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Today we are at the Frontier Towers, and I'm representing the thoughts of 3.5 million people around the world who are builders, who are creators, who are building the next generation of hardware.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if you could introduce us to Solo,
Right.
is your company
Yes.
that also aligns on multiple of these fronts
Right.
and is hoping to build the next generation of physical AI.
Yes. So, first of all, thank you for boiling down 3.5 million thoughts into, this discussion. I'm always happy to share what is the best and the foremost of physical AI. So, Solo Tech is about physical AI specialization. The idea is to have a platform which allows you to train models for specific tasks. We don't want to go for just general intelligence, which is useful in certain situations. We want to go for specialized models that are 99% plus accurate in the real world. And Solo is an open source platform that allows you to train those models currently. And in the last 2 years, we've made a lot of waves in this domain, in research, by being the first company to retarget the AGI bot X2 with the Sonic model. Uh, in engineering, we've deployed in multiple environments, including agriculture and now more recently in scientific automation and in community as well. So now we have a huge community of physical AI trainers uh, living all across the planet in centered around our 7 global hubs. And yeah, happy to share more about those as well.
Perfect. So, Dhruv, how did you get into physical AI? What was your introduction to it? What did you feel were your luck factors in this entire scheme of things, in your multiple years of studying, of building, of ambitiously creating new things?
Right. So I think it's like, well, it's a lot of luck for sure, but a lot of being in game with the industry as well. So if you look at my career, I went to school for computer engineering and University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So it gave me a good balance of hardware and software. And I always wanted to work on something closer to the real world. So I chose computer vision as my field of practice or field of study. So over the last decade or so, I found myself in great companies. I worked at Google for a bit, and then I was in a smaller startup. Right before this, I was doing ML ops, basically developing different ways of deploying models for some real world use case. Many times it was like computer vision, like object detection or body pose detection, something like that. Um, but that is what kept me in game into deploying these models, deploying AI models, being familiar with ML. Since the ChatGPT moment struck around 2023, 2024, that allowed me to think that, okay, I am fluent in this paradigm. I have an opportunity to develop something that is bigger than my job. And that has allowed me to think, like, okay, where can I deploy these models? Then I figured out the robotics use case and then honed in solo on, okay, how can we the best open source platform to allow for trained, specialized physical AI models. So the luck part is that I happen to be in computer vision, and this whole paradigm of robotics right now is very vision driven. So a lot of the VLAs are actually just visual language models with an action trajectory output. And because I was familiar with YOLO and VLMs from my prior career, that allowed me to have this transition and basically build solo upon that. Yeah.
Okay. As someone who's been part of the corporate world and who's understood how operations in big companies work, what did you do during then to prepare yourself? And did you always know that entrepreneurship was the track for you?
Ooh, that's a great question. So, yeah, I would say my earlier years in big companies allowed me to learn what makes these big companies work. Uh, Obviously, there is an excellent standard for engineering. That's just the minimum bar. But I think why big companies succeed is how they're able to coordinate, you know, the tons of resources they have effectively. I think that's what makes it sustainable. So the things I learned in my jobs, I actually always try to imbibe the best of those values into now doing a startup. So, processes, right? CI/CD workflows. So one of the key things we pursue a lot at Solo is, which I learned from my days at Google, was making scope docs, right? Really comprehensive scope docs, even before you write a line of code. You almost never, coding is almost never the hard part. It's always planning for, what is going to be the goal for this, what is going to be the milestones along the way, doing it in a sustainable way that it doesn't affect the rest of the enterprise and all those things, and being efficient with the time that you deliver this in. So these were skills that I definitely learned in the job, and I don't think I didn't gain those skills in my startup experiences. And yeah, and then what encouraged me to do entrepreneurship was, well, I think I have that builder knack for a long time. Even in the job roles I would have, I was always find myself doing something plus one, something beyond syllabus, something extra. Yeah. And if you have, I've had great managers along the way. That gets expounded, but if you find yourself in a role where that energy is not compounded back, it leaves you with a void. Right? You want to do more with when you have the capabilities. So that drive to kind of test myself really allowed me to think like, okay, I'll try this for 6 months or a year. If it doesn't work, I can consider getting a job again. But at least I need to test myself fully to see if I can do this. And that is basically what drove me to transition from a job role to developing Solo as an open source platform. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, in this entire journey that you've had, when did you feel that physical AI was something that you wanted to be sure of? And when you started that, when you started on your path to physical AI, how did you get in the nitty gritties in the beginning? Did you start with, let's say, prototyping with cardboard or maybe 3D printing? Did you try to test things out? What was your journey in that process?
Nice. That's a great question as well. Um, so my insights for physical AI actually came from what physical AI was called previously, which is on-device AI or edge IoT. People don't associate with those words for investing reasons, but it's basically the same technology. I was very fascinated personally by seeing these model works on the edge, no internet, locally, right? So for me, it was very powerful, even though Llama 1B worked, right? But to be able to have that intelligence on your device, on your phone, all the time, without being limited by token usage, was like magic to me. Like I was like, this is really powerful. If not now, there has got to be a value in these models, because at the end of the day, it might not be capable of answering big questions or very specialized reasoning, but things about Wikipedia level questions or daily hygiene or basic math. You know, there's 3.5 billion people on the planet without reliable internet. Still, in 2026, those people have never been online. Imagine giving them access to intelligence all the time in their local language. That would become a different planet. So that was my excitement. Also, being a frugal founder, see, I can only innovate if I can really get to experiment and play with the technology. And on device AI allowed that because I could just, I'm not concerned about GPU usage or paying for my tokens because I'm just experimenting, right? And that allows for innovation, which is way more powerful than if I'm limited by a $5,000 bill every month. So all of these insights, plus my experience in deploying these camera models and even models on the robot for visual navigation, allowed me to see that, okay, physical AI is going to be a powerful layer. We just need to figure out what are the right use cases and embodiments for it. And then saw like how manufacturing of robotics is, as well as compute on the edge is becoming way more powerful and models are becoming more efficient, not because of usage, but because of economies of scale. So seeing all these trends allowed me to think like, okay, physical AI is something impactful and powerful. So don't know exactly what, but something will come out of from this. And I think we're still early in the physical AI game, but I think it is hugely uh, imaginative what people will do when they have access to basically cloud level intelligence, but with them offline all the time. And I think slowly we're going into that future, and robots are going to usher that future in. Perfect. In this thought of physical AI coming into the real world, if you had to make your personal bets on three different industries where this will be useful and these verticals would be applicable, which three would you say? Great question. And I think many people are underrated to figure out those verticals, right? So for me, I'm always going for high impact because that is what changes people's minds. Um, this is what I proposed in our meta grant impact proposal as well. For me, the most important ones are medicine, agriculture, and industry. So those are, I mean, it seems wide, but I think these affect economies the most immediately. We need to scale our medical system, not just with doctors, with also, all the service staff around it. No country on the planet has enough doctors. There's a shortage, and a few years of COVID burned a lot of them out of the industry as well. So we need some labor augmentation in these industries immediately, and it's just critical for human health. So that one is critical, even though it's one of the hardest to work in. Um, Outside of that, I think agriculture and farming are also critical ones. Industries will lead the research for making these possible. I've also heard that a lot of people have called one of the things that you say regularly, Dhruv Diddi's 3Ds. So, what are the 3Ds? Right, so it has become Dhruv Diddi 3D, but the 3D stands for the dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs that we want to automate using robots. And it's actually not my original idea. I read it in a book or at some point in some article. So it's, the founders of robotics, especially when all of this started, mechanization of work started in Japan. They came up with the three Ks. I don't remember what those are. I think it's like Kinsui, Kinsugi, something like along those lines. But they represent like these are the jobs that are not suitable for people and are not more suitable for automation. So it's the dull, jobs, repeated behavior, monotonous work, standing in the sun, waving, right? It is not a great job for someone who's very creative and inspired. The dirty, we want toxic waste handling, cleaning up our rivers, right? Those are important tasks for all of us, and someone has to do it. And obviously the dangerous, right? Dealing with nuclear waste, bomb disposal, high energy systems, plasma management. All of these human bodies are not built for, but using robots, they can enhance our capabilities as a society. So yeah, that's what the 3D stands for, and I'm happy to. It actually is a great gauge for me. It's a great filter for me. Like whenever someone proposes a new task or a new skill automation, I always filter it through like, is it part of the 3Ds or is it for some entertainment or what is it? And as a founder, it allows me to hone in on like what are the actually important things we need robots for.
You've been so dedicated in the pursuit of building hardware and the community around it in SF and outside of SF. Are there a few memorable moments in this that you could highlight? Some people that you happened to meet, somebody who cold emailed you, something that you found terribly interesting and that you just had to reply to and just had to help?
Right. So those moments happen all the time, including this pod as well, to serendipitously meet you at the tower and allowing for these conversations. So yeah, I think the last year especially has been quite magical for the team. Small team, but we got to host the largest physical AI hackathon at Founders Inc. At the start of this year. We also got to go to CES as a one-year-old startup and be in North Hall with the best of robotic companies, including Unitree, Sharpa, and all of these wonderful moments. I think for me, the sweetest moments come when it's like unexpected, when my teacher from school will find some media post about some work I'm doing, and they feel so proud, like I'm still in game with physics or something, because I was always a physics guy in school. Yeah, recently I received a lot of encouraging messages from my teachers back then. So I think those really encourage me to keep doing this. And also on the other side, the excitement from the next generation of builders. I know this, young engineer Laksh out of Hyderabad is like seventh grader. He builds his own robots. He 3D prints them. He makes them work by himself. In a similar way, our intern this time is Malhar and Pranav. These are like, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, already caught up in all physical AI. They're actually contributing to research papers in this now and building businesses outside of it. So, working with them and getting to usher in the next age of engineering and creativity is extremely fun and rewarding for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is Solo going this year? How many places have you guys launched in? How many gyms have you been able to establish? What's the new news from Solo?
Yes. So yeah, a lot of exciting things this year. Physical AI is catching fire like anything. So we just concluded our Solo 7 tour, which was doing 7 workshops in 7 cities in 7 weeks.
Wow.
So it was very stressful for our team, but we ended up getting through Singapore, Boston, London, Delhi, Hyderabad, Illinois, and San Francisco. So we now have, you can check on our website these locations where we provide robots as well as physical AI hardware and GPU credits to train as well. And using the combination of these tools, you can think of it like a library, or I mean, we call it the physical AI gym. because a gym is where you train, and we're creating these communities to allow people to come in and train their own specialized robots, and basically, be the pioneers of the upcoming years of robotics and physical AI. Yeah, and that's where we are right now. Next quarter, I'm interested in unlocking 30 locations. By the end of the year, hopefully 100. And my hope is that with that kind of a critical factor of engineers working on this, physical AI is just going to hit an inflection point, and then we'll have our own, maybe not ChatGPT moment, maybe it'll be the solo moment for physical AI.
Yes.
Something like that.
I'm hoping for the solo moment to hit all of us in our undergrads, in our postgrad, in our PhDs,
Right.
and also in the industry.
Right.
I know that multiple different companies are coming together and encouraging the new generation to go ahead and try multiple things just so that all of us can together rise as a society as well.
Right.
Which companies are you seeing coming into the picture? Which companies have supported you? And how can builders in the audience reach out to bring this entire ecosystem to their cities, to their universities, to make this a movement of its own?
Yes, we don't need just a movement, we need a revolution. And this one will need all of us, not just software engineers, mechanical engineers, people who service these robots, people who make these robots beautiful. Like, this is going to be big. Um, for someone who's trying to get in, well, they can definitely check out our website, getsolar.tech. We have the location hub, which are open right now, and or you can also email me, and we can figure out a way to reserve time. I would say focus on the fundamentals of problem solving, hardware, and software engineering, and be curious to catch up with the wave. Some highlight companies I'll definitely encourage you to follow up with. Anything that comes out of NVIDIA Gear Lab, for example, will ensure that you know what is the best paradigm in training or data collection for a robot. It doesn't even have to be in person always. You can also start training in sim, and that's a great set of users you can get from that. Also, Nebius as a GPU provider is honed in on providing physical AI inference tools. I believe personally that they're going to lead this wave in physical AI, even though there might be competitors in the AI, edge, or all of those domains. I think because of Nebius's focus on promoting physical AI specifically, it's also good to follow up with their teams, and also get credits or all of these things. Um, for robotics hardware, there's actually a lot of interesting teams doing great work. Obviously, Figure and Unitary, and we support AGI Bot as well, are doing awesome with the robots they have available through their distribution cycles. But I would also urge people to check out, the awesome set of comparable open source arms that we have. For example, we have the Seed Studio Rebot here. Very capable technology, can basically do all the things that the other robots can do with your collaboration included, because it's an open source product. So you can make it better. You can create mounts on top of it and things like that. So I would pursue people to check out companies like Seed Studio, or the Hugging Face, SO101 Arms, or there's an amazing humanoid startup called Menlo Research, and their robot is called Asimov. They're based out of Singapore, but that is also a great company to follow along with, how you can create your own humanoid and build it by yourself, or through our physical AI teams.
On that note, let's say I were to start thinking about building a humanoid from scratch, or a specific humanoid for one specific task. How would you suggest I concoct my way of bringing this to life straight from an idea?
Okay, so robotics is complex, and there are so many places where it can fail, jumping into it straight through a robot or directly into solving that set of problems, very hard and you might lose momentum in trying to solve all of it. So even for hackathon and different workshops we did it, like I always recommend pacing, right? And pace your project in a way that at the end of the week or at the end of whatever milestone you set, you have something demoable. Because once you have something demoable, right, you will have the inspiration to keep going. If you just set a big goal like, oh, this specialized robot in this vertical, this, along the way you might miss on some motivation. So the way to get into it is like chunk it down into specifically practical milestones. If you think that task is worth your time, first do it in replay. Do it with the cheapest robot and just control it by yourself. No automation, no coding, just replay it and understand the nitty gritties of that task and what is the hard part, what is the easy part, what needs to be a physical AI model, what needs to be an inverse kinematics module, ROS, or what needs to be something custom, right? Something that you maybe is your secret sauce into that arena. So always figure out something with teleop, then consider replay. You know, replay is a very powerful tool. You can basically allow the robot to just set the task in a specific place and just make that happen effectively. Do it 100 times. That itself will give you insights on what is causing the deployment issues. And then once you've done that, the replay itself will allow you to collect a lot of data. And once you do all of this, then you'll be in a good place to train more autonomous models and have more like higher order thinking into this whole situation. And then there's one way to kind of hone in on like what are the modules needed. Every robotics situation basically needs a set of perception models, a set of reasoning, and a set of action. Right? So figure out what is the perception model, what is the reasoning orchestration, what is the action model. Is it just a coded action, or is it a ACT, or is it Pi0, or any of these models, and allow this process of like milestone iteration to eventually build your robot into it. Yeah, so it takes a bunch of work and a lot of patience, and not all of it is quickly cloud codable, but that's the fun of it.
Yeah, that's what makes it special.
Yes.
And I think along the path of building is where you learn most, not from the outcome. So, if let's say you were to help train one person in their undergrad versus their schooling, let's say a seventh grader versus someone in their second year versus someone who is doing their postgrad, in these three situations, all of us have learned different capacity of things, and because we come from the multiple different curriculums in the world, we have different types of learning. So for someone in each of these three spaces who is looking to get into this ecosystem, or even someone outside of this in industry who's probably spent 10 years in an industry but is still really excited about this wave, how can they get in, and what resources would you change in these four different aspects?
Yes, so yeah, there's so much information out there, right? And how do you even figure out what is the best way to upskill yourself? I would say, don't worry, jump in, just start doing it. You know, this paradigm is changing fast anyway. No one knows everything. But if you are able to keep up and keep in game, then we are all equal, right? And that's mostly what we try to do through our workshops as well. We have people who are industry veterans with 50 years experience, and these young kids just getting into it. And physical AI is new to everyone. We need more people to be fluent in this. So I would just urge people to figure out your small entry into it through your background, right? Maybe you're from a software audio background. Fine. Make some audio models for robotics. Make some persona post training. Maybe that's your way in. Maybe you know no coding at all. You're a mechanical engineer. It's fine. Just ask Gemini or any of these tools and learn the things you need to do your small project. Focus on completion and learning from small projects, and test is fun. There is a lot to learn anyway. Every day in robotics, you learn basically a new paradigm, and new paradigms getting created as well.
Yeah.
Especially with all the sensors involved and foundation models. It's very fast moving. Yeah, just jump in on the deep end, and you'll learn to swim. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard a lot go around San Francisco about like world models, the VLAs, and all of these different things. If you were to catch people outside of San Francisco up to what's happening in San Francisco and what the cutting edge is in this specific domain, how would you do that? What are, let's say, 5 things that you would say are updates in the last week, in the last weekend, how things have been moving, and just to help people get an understanding of where we're going?
Yeah. So first of all, to understand, right, like what is the point of LLM or VLA or World Action Model? At the end of the day, we're trying to find the right set of correlation between some data input and some task getting performed, right? That is, at the end of the day, our goal. It happens with AI, AI assisted, no AI, doesn't matter. We have to solve the problem of the task getting completed end to end. These words might scare you, like, oh, World Action Model, what is that? Right? Or, VLM I understand, but VLA I don't really. So,
What are these abbreviations also? Tell
right,
us,
so
all of the audience.
an LLM is a large language model. A VLM is a vision language model. So the input is an image or a video with a prompt, and then it gives information about what's in that image. So VLM you can use to ask, like, is there a cat in this picture? And it'll say, yes, there's a cat in the left corner or something. VLA instead of is a vision language action model, and instead of replying in text, it replies in trajectory. So it says, when I see this object, I'm supposed to be doing this motion. And that is basically the whole paradigm of VLA. Now, turns out many tasks it's not enough to accomplish with just visual feedback. Some tasks you need to know the depth at which you're using. Some tasks like screwing a bottle cap, you need tactile feedback as well. So people are expanding what that VLA can be to get input from all kinds of things in your environment and create some action tokens from that. And that kicks off the World Action Model WAM paradigm. And that's why there's so much confusion also, because what you consider as your world primitives to train a robot is different from lab to lab, different from vertical to vertical. Maybe some medical robots can see ultrasound, then the world action model will include ultrasound data input. But if it's just moving things around, maybe it just takes in the visual data and some tactile data from the world and then trains on the actions. So that's why there is confusion in what is a world model and what are the correlations it creates. But to boil it down, at the end of the day, we just want the right set of inputs to create the prediction for a robot to do a task end to end. All these architectures might have different names, but that's just think of it as like a categorization. It's like a Pokemon name. It's okay. You just need to know its abilities and the limitations of that technology, and that's it. And fortunately, it's still in a growing stage. So You can follow up the right research labs to be at top of this. So to keep up with it, as you asked, I would say I think the best way would be to follow the right people on social media, like LinkedIn and X. There's a lot of great researchers like Chris Paxton from Agility. There's a company called Robo Strategy. They're great investors in this, put out very sophisticated content. You can do that. I personally also just scan archive a lot. You know the website ARXIV?
Yes, yeah.
I just like scan it daily, kind of. I know like reading papers, who does that casually? But, honestly, when you're AI assisted, you can
Yeah.
just put that in your Gemini notebook or something and get
Yeah.
the simplified version. Then dive deep in.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to just keep up to it. Just read papers casually.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a nerd thing that both of us share.
Yeah.
Reading papers casually is fun in
Yeah, to some people.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
But in such case, like in the world of AI, all of us are grabbing and moving towards whatever we possibly can. With solo tech, what are your three goals that you would streamline to bring the impact that you personally want to see in this world?
That's a good one. Well, I'm determined to be, as impactful and effective as I can be with my small team. So we are definitely honed in on the scientific automation vertical. My goal is that solo trained models and solo trained engineers should win the scientific automation paradigm. And that will allow us to do research which is not possible yet and supercharge industries like drug discovery, like industrial experimentation, which are just like very slow and unoptimized currently. So my specific goal is to create, the most effective set of physical AI tools, open source, which allow for that. Beyond that, I think for the next 6 months for solo, we want to be as distributed as possible with our workshops. So we just need more people paying attention to these problems. Right? It can't be me solo. It
Yes.
had to be thousands of solos who are solving these verticals and are equipped with the best tools to do this. So
Right.
my secondary goal would be to basically allow this physical AI gym to grow up to that 100 number by the end of this year.
Yeah.
And three is more just like personal impact. I really find that there's a lot of value in giving people access to physical AI, not just robots, but intelligence, offline and unlimited. And I think if that ends up happening, people will actually have a more understandable vision of these intelligent systems. We will stop thinking of it an AGI that does everything. We'll all become more fluent with interacting with these systems, and I think that will overall lead to a more tech friendly and tech enhanced future rather than a replacement or fear based one that the market is currently pursuing.
Correct, correct. If you had a message to leave with the younger generation, people who are out there trying new things, possibly you from 5 years ago, I know that NVIDIA, Qualcomm, Meta has backed you in multiple capacities. And these are companies that are backing founders like you and people who are looking to be out there in the world testing things. So if you were to leave someone with three pieces of advice and leave a little bit of your wisdom in the world so that all of us can learn with your experience, what would you say?
Okay, so first of all, I'm a big fan of people choosing their personal journeys. You know, my advice worked for me, for the situations I was in, but I understand people come from different backgrounds and different things work. There's a few principles that I've learned I think will serve you well, at least as a startup founder. One is always lead with curiosity. Many times we get, dissuaded like, oh, that vertical's already done. There's already solutions there. There's already big players in there. Lead with curiosity. Ask questions. Ask researchers. Ask anyone you get hold of. Try to really get to the core of what problem you're solving and why. I think that attitude will serve you well, not just in engineering and scientific research, but also as a startup business, it allow you to understand things which are later on in your timeline. So I think curiosity is a big part of that ethos. Second, I would say is a very important skill is persistence. You have to have just unlimited persistence. Just keep chasing it until just some physics stops you or just like something. You have to have that kind of drive to make things happen because the robot anyway won't work, but it has to be the persistence in you which will make it. So I think that's a important quality to have. And third, most importantly, as a business, would be to be very in line with revenue. I know it's like people try to raise money first and try to go for it. Have a decent filter for revenue. Like, is the problem I'm working on is that valuable for me? Is it valuable to an actual person or is this just a AI hallucination? Be very revenue minded and conscious, and that will allow you to not just gauge your project and make it sharper, but also align with other people, not just investors, but other uh, vertical partners who are aligned with you in that vertical and basically compound your efforts. So, yeah, think of it as like when you become revenue aligned, you're actually not even fighting alone. There'll be people who will help you to solve that problem in a more effective way. So, I think if you keep those principles of like curiosity, persistence, and having some sort of value. I wouldn't even say revenue. You can even think of it like value. Am I providing value to this person, or it's a waste of their time? If you are conscious of these things, you'll make something. Something you'll win. Yeah. Either the project will be successful, or you will become a different person, or yeah, something will happen. Yeah. At least it happened for me. So yeah, I just shared my best advice. Yeah. One last question that I have from the last point that you mentioned, try to find a place that has revenue. Let's say in 5 or even 10 years, robots become a daily part of our society. In such case, I've also seen companies look to acquire things that are a little ancillary which someone would not expect. Meaning that I've seen that companies have started to invest in gear to save the robot if it falls. Maybe something that can be a cushion of sorts, something that can be an accessory that helps the robot stay as healthy as it is. If you were to point out to, let's say, 3 different aspects that could have a certain level of applicability now, or 5 or 10 years from now, when the robots are in action already in the world, creating things, building things in factories, in scientific setups, in lab setups, in all of these setups, what would you say are those ancillary things that people can invest their time into learning or that they can bring application into here? Right. So yeah, on that, actually, there's a few trends that you can see for yourself. There's a few trends you can take from parallel industries like automotive, and there's some things which will be uniquely robotics as well. So currently, we are in the can the robot do this task zone, but soon, once they start doing that, then we'll go into the efficiency of that. So there'll be an array of startups which are in energy efficiency for robotics. Like, okay, now we know it can do something. Can you do it for 4 hours? Can you do it for 10 hours? Can you do it reliably for 1,000 hours? And what does that look like? So I think there will definitely be a bunch of innovation around battery, energy management, motor optimizations for that. A bunch of these will happen for sure. Uh, the other ones that you can think of as ancillary startups around, which basically happened to the car industry also, is all the services that started around it. So now you have a robot. What about how is it going to show up at the spot? Robot transportation, robot servicing, robot support, teleop, who's debugging it? Is there a chat? Can I call someone who will do it? Even robot financing. I don't want to pay $50,000. I don't even pay $50,000 for a car. How can I finance this robot in a actually insurance mitigated way, right? So those are also some things which will come. And then the some things which might just be, it'll be led by culture. It'll be how the robot looks. Like there's definitely a difference between when I do an event just regular and one of our robots is wearing a tuxedo. Different guy, you know. I think there's a whole industry of robot fashion incoming as well. Yes. Aesthetics. I feel it basically like car detailing, right? At least everything you do with that robot cleaning. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of industries around that as well. So a lot of people think, oh yeah, that will be automated too. Not for a long time. This is actually going to be creating a lot more jobs than it'll be replacing. And we'll have bigger goals and bigger automation opportunities that we've never had before. So yeah, those are some things I think. First being energy efficiency, second being the finances or basically the services around this, and then third being aesthetics or the culture robot interaction. Yeah.
On that note, thank you for being on the Hardware Podcast. It was lovely having you, and I hope that these insights reach the multiple people that look up to you, that have been helped by you. I know one of the people that are in my community also reached out to me when I posted a picture with you saying that, oh, this guy was really helpful. He helped me set up, a space where I could tinker, things that I could do, right. And he was very impactful in my life. Yeah, no, for me, it's all about paying it forward. Early in my career, I was helped by some superstars that allowed me to be in this place. So now I just love to encourage the next gen, and we are here for the revolution. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.